Keegan Murray is that dude, but Paul George doesn't give a damn. The Los Angeles Clippers spoil Keegan Murray's shining debut. We'll talk about that and the Kings' abysmal free throw shooting right here on the Locked On Kings podcast.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all regular season and all off season. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports reporter and producer here from the Golden One Center, where the Kings are 0-2 to start the season, 2 winnable games that the Kings just cannot close out. And not only are the Kings 0-2, they have now lost to a team in the Los Angeles Clippers who is not at full strength. No Kawhi Leonard or John Wall for the Clippers tonight. But all things considered, even though we have maybe some PTSD to last season and years past where the Kings play down to the level of their competition and really struggle when they're facing teams that are shorthanded, this Clippers squad is a really, really good team. So I'm not excusing the fact that the Kings failed to win and take advantage of a golden opportunity on their home floor with one of the best players in the league and Kawhi Leonard being out. But what I'm saying is it's not like Paul George and the rest of that Clippers roster were a pushover, and we knew that this was not going to be an easy game for the Sacramento Kings. That being said, the Kings lost on their home floor, and in a lot of ways, again, it was self-inflicted wounds. We're going to get to the negative of this loss. 111-109, the final score. But we have to just start by talking about Keegan Murray, right? Finally makes his debut. I say finally, it's only game 2 of the season. We were robbed of him in game 1 thanks to health and safety protocols. But Keegan comes in. He did not start. KZ Okpala still started at the 4. Didn't have really a problem with that. But Keegan Murray was the first player off the bench. I thought it was interesting that when he came into the game, he didn't replace KZ Okpala. He replaced Harrison Barnes, who had a horrendous night, and we will get to that. But Keegan Murray comes in to an incredible ovation here inside the Golden One Center, an ovation that he absolutely deserves, and takes very little time to get himself going. He made his first shot attempt, his first basket as official basket as an NBA player, was a wing 3 courtesy of a De'Aaron Fox assist. Now in reality, if you look at the play back, De'Aaron Fox was actually trying to hit a bounce pass to what he thought was a cutting Richaun Holmes. Richaun stopped cutting. Thankfully, the ball made its way out to Keegan Murray on the wing, who took the shot in rhythm, no hesitation, with all the composure that we've come to expect out of Keegan Murray. And of course, he drains it. 19 points on 7 of 10. Quick math, that's 70% shooting. That's pretty good. 3 of 6 from three-point range. Quick math, that's 50% shooting from 3. That's pretty damn good. Also 2 of 2 from the free throw line. I point that out because the Kings' free throw shooting was so bad as a team, but Keegan Murray not responsible for that. He did his job at the free throw line and hit both of his free throws. And I mean, we've talked already a lot about the composure that Keegan Murray has, the high basketball IQ that he plays with. He doesn't play like a rookie. In reality, Keegan is already one of the most reliable shooters on this team. I would argue he's top 3, top 4 player on this team right now. Some of you might even think top 2. I'm not ready to go that far based off of one career NBA game, but I will say this. If there are 2 guys on this roster that I trust shooting the basketball more than anybody else on the team, and it's not even close, that's Keegan Murray and Kevin Huerter. Kevin had another great game. We'll get to that in a little bit because he played really, really solid. But overall, the Sacramento Kings, even with De'Aaron Fox's great performance, and he had another really solid night, I have some praise for him as well at the end of the podcast. I just trust those 2 shooting the basketball more than anybody else on this roster. It feels like every time Kevin Huerter, especially from three-point range, but Kevin Huerter and Keegan Murray put the ball up, it's going in, and they're shooting good, efficient, high-quality shots. No surprise they're dropping. Also, Keegan Murray had 5 rebounds and 2 blocks in this NBA debut, and also got a good stretch of time, especially late in the game, defending Paul George. Now, the Sacramento Kings had absolutely no answers for Paul George. No answers whatsoever. Paul George was freaking dominant in this game. What did he finish with? 42 points, if I'm not mistaken, or was it just 40 points? I'm looking down at the box score here below. This is perfect for camera. 40 points for Paul George. He drops a 40 bomb to literally carry the Clippers in many ways to this victory. And when a guy's having a 40-point game, one of those nights where he just is unstoppable, it's not that you are suddenly going to play great defense on him and shut him down. There were moments where I thought De'Aaron Fox played excellent defense. There were moments where KZ Okpala played really, really good defense. And there were moments where Keegan Murray played really good defense, I thought, on Paul George. He was just making shots. The reason why I'm pointing out Keegan Murray's defense on Paul is the fact that late in this game, when the Kings were still very much in it trying to make their push, it was Keegan that was guarding Paul George. And I actually asked Keegan after the game what he was trying to do guarding someone who was having that kind of night. And he said, look, Paul George was hitting good shots, hitting really difficult shots. I was just trying to make things as difficult for him as possible. You're going to hear from Keegan Murray, and you're going to hear from both De'Aaron Fox and Mike Brown about Keegan Murray here in just a little bit. But offensively, he was as good as advertised, better than advertised in so many ways, was not afraid of the moment. And then defensively, he was not afraid to take the challenge of Paul George at the end of the game. And even though he didn't lock Paul George down or stop him by any means or do enough for the Kings to win the game, I thought he held his ground, and he did well for a rookie, considering he's guarding one of the best offensive players in the league in his first ever NBA game. So, I mean, all things considered, I got to give rows after rows after rows to Keegan Murray. So excited for the impact that he can have on this team, whether it's as a starter or coming off the bench. You know how I feel about that situation. Regardless, he can make an impact. Doesn't surprise me at all that he was the second leading scorer on the Sacramento Kings in just his first game. But that also speaks to how, to be honest with you, his teammates, in a lot of ways, need to step up. And the team as a whole needs to step up from the free throw line. For the love of God, make your damn free throws. The fact that the Kings shot 15 of 26 from the free throw line, that's 57%. 15 to 26, 57% as an NBA team. And I've shown you, I've told you about the access that we get watching training camps and how every single training camp, every single Kings practice ends with the free throw or sprint drills. And I swear to God, I wish Mike Brown called a timeout in the middle of this game and made his team run sprints back and forth for how abysmal they were shooting from the free throw line. Here's the reality of the situation. Had the Kings shot 75%, that's 19 of 26. They make 4 more free throws, they win this game by 2. 75% should be bare minimum ask. Most teams should be in the 80s plus. They want to be in the 80s plus as from the free throw line. But 75% would have won you this game. Not by 1, by 2. Just being bare minimum average from the free throw line, Kings win this game. It's a tough pill to swallow. I mean, there's the silver lining way of looking at it. Look, the Kings still made mistakes. They didn't get the best of performances out of some of their key guys. They sucked royally from the free throw line, and yet they still had a chance to win this game. La-di-da-di-da, happy, happy, boo-boo, woohoo, wonderful. I don't give a crap. Like, honestly, at this point in time, this is where the Sacramento Kings are. These are games that the Kings have to win, especially on your home floor, regardless of the level of competition, regardless of who's playing and who is not. If the Kings want to be a playoff team, if they really want to end this playoff drought, they have to find ways to clean up these messes and finish these games. Now, there's still 80 games remaining. Plenty of time for them to fix these mistakes. But I tweeted out tonight, and I said it after the home opener loss to the Blazers. Old bad habits die hard. And there are still so many habits, so many consistencies, so many pitfalls with this team that we have seen plaguing this organization over the last 16 seasons that Mike Brown is going to royally struggle to get rid of. Royally struggle to get rid of. And I hope he's able to do it sooner or later, because they continue to rear their ugly head. And even though the mistakes aren't as abysmal and egregious as they were last season, look, the Kings haven't gotten blown out yet, right? They've been in every single game. They've been competitive in both these games, which is bare minimum what we wanted. But to be on your home floor, to have that home court advantage, and to not be able to close out these games, that is the difference between the Kings being a mediocre to below average team and being a team that maybe has a chance at a 7th or 8th seed to host a play-in game. Like, that's the difference right there. and then they have to add on top of that to even talk about being a top 6 seed and punching their ticket to a legitimate playoff series, which is still the ultimate goal for this organization. Before we move on and talk about the rest of the team and how they struggled, plus I got to share some love for De'Aaron Fox too, why don't we hear from Keegan Murray? Actually, no, we're going to start with both De'Aaron Fox and Mike Brown talking about Keegan Murray, and then you're going to hear from the man of the hour himself.
I think that's going to be a classic Keegan Murray game. He does things quietly, but I think the fans feel it, and they're in the stadium. They're doing what they used to do with Yogi after he made his first basket. I was like, wow, this is what we're doing. But no, I mean, he did a hell of a job, and he's out there guarding, one of the best players in the NBA. I mean, that's a tough matchup for anybody, but I think he had a great, debut. But I wish we capitalized on that and got a win. But we have a game tomorrow.
Yeah, Keegan was great. He's a young guy that's only going to get better, and there's not many things that faze him. He's just going to keep playing hard, keep trying to play the right way, and that's what you love about him. You have a guy like that, especially at his age, that can impact the game on both ends. He's gonna be fantastic for us. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it meant everything to me. Just their support throughout since I've been drafted. Since the start of that, all I felt is love from the people in Sacramento, and I'm forever grateful for what they've given me so far, and I'm excited for the rest of our games this year. The level of competition, the higher you go up, the more simple you have to try and make the game. It's something that when you get on this stage, some people tend to do too much. Some stuff out of their comfort zone. I try and make the game as simple as possible in that aspect. So I'm as confident as a player as you're ever going to meet. So I just think the higher I go up, the more confident I get.
Today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is brought to you by LinkedIn. Now, these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager. It can feel like you're gambling for your business almost. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. Now, LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn Jobs provides simple tools like screening questions, making it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly and efficiently prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find qualified candidates fast, and you can post your job for free right now to linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Don't go through all of the hassle of finding the perfect candidates and sifting through application after application, unqualified candidate after unqualified candidate. Find the candidates that you need and hire the best one using linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. Terms and conditions apply. Keegan Murray was great. De'Aaron Fox was excellent. Kevin Huerter was really solid. Domantas Sabonis, Harrison Barnes, Malik Monk, to some extent Davion Mitchell, y'all need to be better. And this is not coming from a place of frustration and anger. This is coming from a place of, I know they're far more capable of being far more effective than they've shown in these first 2 games. Let's start with Domantas Sabonis. You're a 2-time All-Star. You're someone who the Sacramento Kings traded for to, yes, partner with De'Aaron Fox to help De'Aaron Fox, but also to come in and be a leader, not just as an example in the locker room, not as the great guy and great teammate that we know Sabonis to be, but be a statistical leader, be someone who is going to be there for the Kings to lean on, and at times put the Kings on his back to help them win tough games like this, especially at home. And the reality is, Domantas Sabonis has not been good enough in these first 2 games. Had Sabonis been a little bit to significantly better, the Kings are 2-0 right now, and I believe that wholeheartedly. And you look at the box score for Sabonis in this game, and it's not horrendous. He still finished with a double-double, 11 points, 10 rebounds, also had 7 assists, a couple steals, a couple block shots, but he shot 4 of 12 from the field and is missing far too many shots around the rim. Plus, wasn't great at the free throw line as well. The Kings need more out of their second-best player. Some think he is the Kings' best player because of his history. He's sure as hell not playing it like it right now. I actually asked Mike Brown after the game about how the team can incorporate him a little more or get him more comfortable or help him out a little bit because he's struggling right now. And one of the things Mike Brown talked about is how important he is to the offense, how they're running the ball through him so much and giving him so many different looks, and he just needs a little more time and more reps to get it, and he will get it. And I trust Mike Brown. I do believe that Domantas Sabonis will eventually figure things out. But as he takes time to figure it out, the Sacramento Kings are not only losing games, they're wasting opportunities, and they're wasting strong performances out of the guys who are starting the season hot, who are starting the game, or starting games and starting the season with initiative, knowing how important it is for this team to not necessarily get off to a great start, but to avoid falling into too deep of a hole. And now with the Kings facing the Golden State Warriors tomorrow night, second night of a back-to-back, there's a very good chance that this team could start 0-3. Not to mention the Memphis Grizzlies coming up, the Miami Heat coming up, both of those games inside this building. It's very reasonable to think the Sacramento Kings can be 0-5. They have to find a way to steal some of these games against significantly better opponents. And they're going to need Domantas Sabonis to do that. They're also going to need Harrison Barnes, who remember last season, got off to a ridiculously good start. He was the Kings' leading scorer for a while, averaging like 24-plus points per game, shooting over 40% from three-point range. Where the hell is that Harrison Barnes? Now, I know that Harrison Barnes wasn't sustainable, as we saw last year, but every once in a while, you would love to get that Barnes for this Kings team, and he has been MIA to the upteenth degree. He doesn't look necessarily comfortable. It looks like maybe at times he's being too passive. He did have a stretch where he did attack the basket and actually got to the foul line, I think 3 out of 4 possessions. The problem was when he got to the foul line, he missed a crap ton of free throws. In 34 minutes, Harrison Barnes finished with 8 points, a very inefficient 2 of 9 shooting from the field, did have 7 rebounds, but it's not enough. You need more, especially as a starter, especially as a pillar of this team, a pillar of this rotation. And then defensively, he got beat a couple times. He got beat bad. So did Domantas Sabonis. The Kings' defense, especially in the third quarter and early fourth quarter, they were getting blown by way too many times. Harrison Barnes was towards the top of that getting blown by list, which is one of the 5 pillars or tenets of defense that Mike Brown expects the Kings to be better at, not allowing your man to get into the middle and blow by you. Harrison Barnes was struggling with that. Malik Monk, supposed to be this potential spark plug off the bench. I talked about him as potentially being a 6th Man of the Year candidate for the Kings with how much of a microwave scorer he is off the bench. He's been bad these first 2 games. Had 0 points, played 13 minutes, maybe should have played more. At the same time, though, he was the first one in off the bench at his position, not Terrence Davis, who was coming off of a very good performance in the home opener. Terrence Davis did play a little bit in this game, finished with 8 points. Malik Monk, big old goose egg, 0. 0 for 4 from the field in 13 minutes. And I'm including Davion Mitchell in this list, but I'm including him reluctantly. Because even though Davion had just 4 points and only 2 assists, 2 of 7 shooting from the field, offensively you need more out of their backup point guard when De'Aaron Fox is out of the game. But Davion does so many good things on the defensive end of the floor that even if he's not being impactful offensively, you know what you're getting out of him defensively. So it's very different than the way I look at Barnes and Monk in particular in this game. But someone needs to help De'Aaron Fox, Keegan Murray, and Kevin Huerter out. Because if they got a little more help in tonight's game, and I know Keegan Murray wasn't available in game 1, but if Huerter and Fox, who combined for 56 points in that game, if they got a little more help from their other big, important depth pieces, we talk about how deep this roster is, if they get more help from their depth pieces, again, I think the Kings are 2-0 at this point. Those little things add up. And of course, as we talked about, the free throw shooting being as bad as it was, goodness gracious. I gave my roses to Keegan Murray. I got to keep giving my roses to De'Aaron Fox. He follows up his 33-point performance in the home opener, again a loss, but still 33 points, with a 36-point performance tonight. Now, I shared after that game that I was extremely happy with De'Aaron's performance. I loved what I saw out of De'Aaron. I know the 8 turnovers were bad, and the 8 turnovers marred what I thought was a really overall excellent performance. De'Aaron Fox in the home opener gave me what I needed to see out of my star. And then he doubled down on it, and he added on to it. A 36-point performance going toe-to-toe with the 40-point performance from Paul George. And De'Aaron Fox had more help, to be honest with you, than Paul George did from his team at times. And even still, Sacramento could not pull this game out. Like De'Aaron, I thought, these first 2 games, there's not much more you can ask from him. Now, his turnover numbers went down from 8 to 3. I can live with 3 turnovers from De'Aaron Fox if he's putting up 36 points. I can live with that. De'Aaron, I've just been beyond pleased with, especially as someone who's been questioning his star ability, or I've always believed he had this star ability in him, but questioning whether or not he would show it, especially out of the gate where he has historically struggled in his career. De'Aaron is showing me exactly what I need to see. De'Aaron is showing the Kings exactly what they need to see. De'Aaron is stepping up as the star and the leader, playing with a sense of urgency on both sides of the ball, not just offensively. He's playing damn good defense, had a really good couple of defensive possessions against Paul George, and Paul still made the shots because he was just ridiculous tonight. I've loved what I've seen from De'Aaron. De'Aaron is completely bought in. He's responding very well to Mike Brown's coaching. He is being the star and the leader that the Sacramento Kings need. And you know, I said coming into this year that the Kings no longer need De'Aaron Fox to be great to perfect to have a chance to win on a nightly basis. But what's frustrating is De'Aaron has been great to nearly perfect in these first 2 games, and they've still lost. That's because the depth has not done their job. Domantas Sabonis, Harrison Barnes, Malik Monk, other guys, they've not carried their weight. Now, De'Aaron's not going to put blame on anybody else. I don't expect him to. And the Kings know that as a team, they still have to improve defensively. They had far too many defensive lapses. Overall, I thought offensively, the Kings played a better game as a whole. Like De'Aaron with his 36 points, 15 from 23 shooting from the field, 3 of 5 from three-point range, another very efficient three-point shooting game for him. Also had 4 rebounds, 4 assists. But the Kings shot 40% from the three-point line, 14 of 35. Even though that 35 number is less than the desired number of 40-plus threes by Mike Brown and his coaching staff, I thought the quality of threes that they were getting in this game, a lot of them coming from paint touches, the Kings attacking the basket and kicking out for open looks, I thought they were significantly better. The shot selection in this game was way better from the perimeter, in my opinion, for the Sacramento Kings team. Unfortunately, the volume wasn't as high, but the percentage was still really, really good. I can live with that. Again, regardless of if you're taking on a full-strength team or a team like the Clippers tonight who are a bit shorthanded, you have to find a way to win these games at home. And the Kings wasted another opportunity. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that not only did Paul George go off for 40 points, the Clippers as a team shot 56%. 56% from the field in the second half after shooting in the low 40s in the first half. They made good adjustments. The third quarter was rough for the Kings. What else is new? Fourth quarter, the Kings waited a little too long to try and put together the run at the end, and ultimately they fall short. 111, 109 the final. Your Sacramento Kings are 0-2, and oh yeah, they have the defending champions on the road tomorrow. Of course, we'll have a post-game episode of Locked On Kings after that. I will not be going to that game. I'll be back in the ABC 10 studios for that game, but still you can expect a post-game episode of Locked On Kings, so I hope you'll join me for that. Send me your thoughts on this game. Send me your thoughts on this 0-2 start. Are you down in the dumps? Are you seeing the reasons to be optimistic but not accepting moral victories, which is kind of like where I'm at right now? Are you still feeling good about the Kings' potential this season? Have you seen enough to make you think, okay, they have plenty of time, they can turn it around, they're on the cusp of something great, even though they're not delivering right now? Or are you also looking at the patterns from the last 16 years, seeing them continue to carry into this season with this team and this new coaching staff, and it's scaring you a little bit? Where you're at? Let me know where you're at. Talk to me at MattGeorgeSack on Twitter. Send me a message. You can tweet me publicly, DM me privately. Even if we don't follow each other, my DMs are open. You can email me, mattgeorgesports@gmail.com. And if you're watching on YouTube, please get loose in the YouTube comment section down below. Thank you to everyone who said hi to me, and I took a couple pictures with some people here at the game tonight. I love, love, love meeting you. I love seeing you, love chatting with you. And I really appreciate not just your support of the podcast, but your willingness to come up to me and chat a little bit and say hi. I really, truly do not take it for granted. Thank you for your support as always. We will be back tomorrow for hopefully a Kings win against the Golden State Warriors. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I think they can do it. I just wouldn't put money on it at this point in time. My name is Matt George. You've been listening to Locked On Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.